All right, guys, make sure to follow my Twitch page for live streams, all that good stuff. Here we go. Let's talk about him because he's on the Money in the Bank pre-show. I've been getting a lot of questions asking about Daniel Bryan. Tubby, what do you think about him? What's his status now? He's on the pre-show. He went from being the main eventer of WrestleMania 30 to being injured, to facing Kane at Extreme Rules, to going on to handing over the title, getting stripped of the title, I should say. And now he's on the Money in the Bank pre-show. Is this the end of Daniel Bryan's reign as we know it? And that's what I want to talk about and kind of go over because, yes, Daniel Bryan is on the pre-show. I see a lot of people looking at it from the point of view that, if this was anybody else, and this is one of the stories Wrestling Inc. had posted, if this was anybody else, they wouldn't be putting him on the bullshit pre-show. They wouldn't be doing him this. They wouldn't be doing him that. Does anybody remember when John Cena was injured? Was it Hell in a Cell? I can't remember which pay-per-view it was that he was injured. He was on the pre-show asking questions from like Vicky Guerrero, wasn't he? John Cena is still a main eventer. I think it has nothing to do with them realizing Daniel Bryan's push is done and Daniel Bryan's fad is past necessarily. I think at a certain point, there may be some thoughts like that. There may be a little bit of animosity. You just got to that position where he was going to carry the company. He was going to be the champion. And then now he's injured. He's gone. Somebody else has got to fill in. I think that's a huge problem for Daniel Bryan. But injuries are just a matter of, life in WWE. But a lot of people that are citing the injuries as a thing, a lot of top guys that did get injured now, look where they're at. Dolph Ziggler was on this huge push. He goes and gets that concussion, and look what happened to him. So I am a little fearful for Daniel Bryan. I'm a little fearful for what they're going to do with him. I'm a little fearful for where he goes from here. But I don't necessarily see the pre-show as a bad thing. I see that more as being as them using Daniel Bryan to sell pay-per-view buys and get their money out of him. If they can't have him wrestling in the show, at least have him be a part of it to have people tune in, maybe buy the pay-per-view. Maybe he does something big, something of the sort. That's the way I'm kind of looking at Daniel Bryan on the pre-show. I'm sure other people are looking at it more as, Daniel Bryan, from main event to pre-show in 3 months, his career's over. And I don't really look at it that way. Now, it could be said that that's a possibility. I mean, let's be honest. He did go from the main event to now being on the pre-show, but he's also injured. I think it would be a little bit more telling if, he was injured and he was not around at all. I mean, look at Dolph. He was gone and, in no form or shape of capacity on TV. And then when he came back, his push was dead and everything was over. And then he went on to face Damian Sandow in a bunch of matches people said will lead to absolutely nothing, even though I thought it was going to lead to something eventually. I think also Daniel Bryan, and I will say this, this dates back to Money in the Bank, I think a year or two ago when Daniel Bryan had the chance going for him, that I don't only think the reason he is big is because of the yes chant. I think that's part of it. Absolutely. Just like Stone Cold and the what chance, even though Stone Cold is over without the what chance, I think that has a definite part of it, but that's, because of Daniel Bryan, because we're not hearing those chants without Daniel Bryan. And I think that would be a little bit more telling if that chant was still going and he wasn't around. Like the what chants are still around even, when Stone Cold isn't in the building. And, that kind of goes to show what's more over than the actual person. And when it comes to Daniel Bryan, I think the big telling thing in the next couple of months will be, I think he's missed his shot to be champion going into SummerSlam. There's been a lot of speculation, and especially with the leaked poster, that Daniel Bryan is out of the title picture, and at SummerSlam, it's going to be John Cena versus Brock Lesnar. Now, if John Cena versus Brock Lesnar were to happen, which it absolutely might be able to, who knows? Who knows where things are going to go? Does that mean Daniel Bryan doesn't get his push, or does that mean Daniel Bryan's going to be the guy to face Brock Lesnar? They had talked about Daniel Bryan versus Brock Lesnar for a long time. And if I'm Daniel Bryan, even if I had this long title run, if I'm WWE, I'm in a position where I would most likely have Brock Lesnar beat whoever's champion at SummerSlam. I honestly would. And then I'd probably, if I was booking it, have a cash-in to still make him look like a beast, but a beast that, got caught off guard. And the reason I say that is because he beat the streak. Something big is in the works for Brock Lesnar. And I think if Daniel Bryan were still in this position, he was booked really crappily with Kane. I think they wanted him. They put him in a position to go, look, see, the guy can't carry the company. You put him up against Kane in a match nobody gave a shit about. Like, I did not want to see that match. I don't think anybody wanted to see it. And then they were going to do a rematch of a match we didn't give a shit about. So if I'm WWE and I'm in this position right now, I'll be honest with you. I give Daniel Bryan a second shot. I let Daniel Bryan go out there and prove what he can do and, have a lengthy reign as champion. But if I'm WWE as well, I look at Brock Lesnar as the guy that defeated this streak. I think Brock has to win the title in some way, shape, or form. So I don't necessarily see Daniel Bryan retaining or getting back his title within the next 2 months. I don't see it happening. So as far as what that means for his push, because most people look at pushes as only being for the championship, I don't think Daniel Bryan's going to get his championship back. I think as far as Daniel Bryan's status goes, and I want to read this quote, there's also a feeling within WWE that Bryan's bubble has popped, so to speak. It's also said that there are definitely higher-ups who feel Bryan got injured when they needed him the most, so they're more hesitant to let him run with the ball. Furthermore, there are also people who still bring up how Bryan was scheduled to face Sheamus at WrestleMania 30 until CM Punk left and gave him his big push, which I think is an absolute truth. I think that is something to consider. But at the same time, look how hot he was. And he's still hot. He still gets the reactions, even when he came out. And I think they're still utilizing him a little bit to try to capture, because everything they put into Daniel Bryan in the last year, the screwing him, finally overcoming the Authority, he definitely does have, the WWE has to get their money's worth out of him. I will agree with that. A lot of people saying, John Cena, why the fuck are you putting him back in the title picture? Maybe to recoup some losses, because if I'm WWE, I don't necessarily want the title back on Cena. I would much rather have the title on Daniel Bryan and have Daniel Bryan be the guy to, run with things. But if I invested that much into Daniel Bryan, I invested a whole year worth of storylines from SummerSlam until the time he got injured into a man such as Daniel Bryan, and that man got injured at the most inopportune time. That is not good. It's not good, and I know injuries happen, and I don't necessarily look down on Daniel Bryan for that. A lot of people were blaming his style and how he wrestled, and I don't necessarily think that. I think, a lot of things contributed to him, being injured, and, whether or not certain things happen. His ring style obviously had something to do with it, but wrestling injuries happen. And unfortunate it is for Daniel Bryan. I think he missed his bubble for the summer. I think, WWE kind of went with those makeshift plans, and I think I kind of truly do believe that Daniel Bryan missed it, and it's going to be Brock Lesnar versus John Cena for the simple fact that I think Brock Lesnar goes over. I think Brock Lesnar has a strong showing and looks good. If Daniel Bryan gets back in that title picture and, he faces that Battleground or something like that, or if he's not able to compete for a while and he's out of the picture, you're going to need somebody to get back in there, and I think that guy would have to be John Cena for now, because I think most people, Cena beat Brock at Extreme Rules, have him come back, have him take out Cena, and then have Daniel eventually take out Brock Lesnar. How awesome would that be? What if that was what WrestleMania 31 was leading to? Fuck The Rock. What if they were to have Daniel Bryan beat Brock Lesnar for the title at WrestleMania? Oh, man, things are getting insane. The guy who beat the streak. I don't know, guys. I don't necessarily know where it's going. I want to know your guys' thoughts and opinions on it, because I'll be honest, it's a big, big topic. Daniel Bryan's a guy they invested a lot into. He's a guy that I thought would have been main eventing pay-per-views up until SummerSlam. I thought he would at least keep it till SummerSlam. But now with these other plans coming in, I think a great way of booking it is to have Brock Lesnar beat the guy at SummerSlam, whoever's champion, and then have him get cashed in on. I think that's the way to go. And I think I can just be glad that that man is not Daniel Bryan then. We get to wait and then let Daniel Bryan finally, whenever he does get his championship, because I'm guessing he did vacate, so does he get a rematch? Does he get to face somebody? Maybe at Battleground, he gets to face the champion if he's ready. Who knows? Who knows where things are going to go? And, that's one of the most interesting and unique things to me, and I can't wait to see what happens, guys. So Let me know in the comment section below, what are you most looking forward to when Daniel Bryan returns? Do you think he's still going to be in the main event? Because I personally don't know. I think Daniel Bryan, his injuries, as much as they suck, I think his injuries are going to hurt him. I think you missed the ball here. And as much as it sucks, as much as it pains me to say this, as being a huge Daniel Bryan fan over the last couple of years, even dating back to NXT, not really so much of the Ring of Honor stuff, because I'll be honest, I didn't really watch too much of that stuff. But I'm a big Daniel Bryan fan. So I think he's going to hit a bukkake knee sometime in the future. He's going to be going crazy. Maybe he comes back. Maybe he gets that big push. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe Daniel Bryan missed it. But I think Daniel Bryan is in a position unlike Dolph Ziggler. I can say that for certainty. I think that out of all the guys, I think Daniel Bryan has a much better chance of coming back from this injury, coming back and potentially being able to get back into the main event like Dolph, because Dolph never was built like Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan overcame the Authority. He overcame Randy Orton. He overcame Batista. He overcame Triple H. He overcame so much more than Dolph Ziggler or any other of the guys who lost their main event push ever did. They were built up completely different, and WWE still has to get their money's worth out of Daniel Bryan, in my opinion. I think they've got to make it work. So I don't think they're just going to let him go off in the sunset, but I definitely do think that he'll be out of the main event for a little bit. So let me know what you guys think. Twitter.com/Tubby Move this Sunday. Money in the Bank tonight, probably. I'm not sure when this video is going to go up, but I'll make sure to live tweet. You guys can get at me, and let me know what you think about Daniel Bryan's status in the company. Until next time, we will see you all later. Don't worry, Daniel. You still have Brie. Let's be honest. That's a win in my book.